you don't want to have found the perfect piece of property just to find out you can't get it. Hey friends, I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is Coda. And if you are on the hunt for your dream property like we are, then you have come to the right place, because today we're going to share with you some of the things that we've learned as we've been looking for property. There are 10 essential things that we feel like are musts that you need to find out prior to buying property.
So the first essential must is the budget. Now, you may say, I want to spend this much on a piece of property, or I want to spend this much. However, that isn't always just the cost. You've got a lot of other costs that can be wrapped up in there, and ongoing costs that can happen as well.
You want to know what the top of your budget is, because you don't want to have found the perfect piece of property that is just absolutely ticks every box just to find out it is way outside of your budget and you can't get it. And then every piece of property you look at from there on, you're going to compare to that property that you can't have.
And some properties have ongoing costs, such as HOAs, or maybe even the property taxes in the area that you're looking at is really high. So you want to kind of do a little research on that stuff as well, because you may be able to afford to get in on the property, but then you may not be able to afford staying there.
The second essential must is the location of the property. You want to make sure that you have really paid attention to the commute. How far is it from work? How far is it from the places that you want to make sure you're close to, like grocery stores maybe, or Walmart?
And you also want to make sure it's safe. The area that you're in, you want to make sure that the crime rate isn't ridiculous. You know, you want to take those factors into account, because you get into a dream place and it turns out to be a nightmare. It's no fun.
When you're thinking about location as well, you want to pay attention to what school district is it in. Is it in a school district that you want to be in, especially if you have kids? And
even within that school district, each school and each area that's zoned within that district as well. Also, you definitely want to look at how close other houses are to you. What are the other properties that bump up to your property? Can people build there? Where are you going to be in location to that? Because it depends on what things of that are important to you. If you like having close neighbors, then that's a consideration as well. When you're thinking about location as well, you want to pay attention to the neighborhood and to the neighbors. So make sure you go ahead and drive around, check out the neighborhood, make sure that you're comfortable with it. And also, it's a great time to talk to some of the neighbors. See how long they've lived here. Do they like it? All of that. You can get all the tea if you talk to the neighbors. You also want to look at resale, as you're looking at the neighborhood and that type of thing. Is it an old neighborhood that's on its way out? Is it a new neighborhood on its way up? Is it somewhere in between? Do people keep their property nice around you? All of those pieces can factor into your resale value. So make sure you pay attention to the location. So one other consideration is you need to make sure that you have the building sites that you need. You need to make sure that they're large enough to accommodate what you need to do, or if you're going to put a basement on the side of a hill, whatever that is, you may need to talk to contractors and get some more information to make sure that your building site's appropriate. The fourth essential must that you need to find out before purchasing property are the zoning regulations. What zone are you in? I had no idea there were so many zones and so many different things that you could and couldn't do. You need to make sure that you are in the zoning site that fits what you want to do. Also, there are some apps that will help you. They'll help you with figuring out the zoning. There's Land Glide, there's some others. Coming in at number 5 is road access. It is essential that you pay attention to what kind of road access you have. Is it gravel? Is it paved? Does that matter to you? But more importantly, is it a private road or is it a county maintained road? Because that's going to make a difference as well. Do you have an easement on it, or is it an ingress and egress? You want to make sure that you know those things, because that can determine who's responsible for the maintenance of the road, and that's important. You need to know that, and you need to know what you want and what you're willing to do when it comes to your road. Coming in at number 6 are covenants and restrictions. Now, typically you hear of covenants and restrictions with an HOA. However, there can be covenants and restrictions on stuff that may no longer have an HOA. Those things may still be in place. Sometimes you actually have to do a title search to make sure that none of that stuff still exists, because you may be held to a standard that you don't even know exists. And also, if there is an HOA, how much is it? What do they maintain? What are the responsibilities? What are the rules and regulations on you? Do you have to build a certain type of home? Do you have to do this? Do you have to do that? A lot of times there are regulations with those. So your covenants and restrictions are going to lay that out for you. But again, you may have to do a title search to determine what those are.
Number 7 on the essential list before you buy property is septic and water. My understanding is you just plug into the water and you just dig a hole.
Yeah, that's not really the way it works. So depending on where you're at, there may be county water. Typically, even if there's county water, if you're out in an area that's wooded like this, you're talking about having to put a septic in. And depending on the soil type, depends on the type of septic that you have to put in.
Or if you are in town, you may be able to hook right into sewer.
To sewer, yes. But a lot of times if it's county something, it's usually going to be a septic. If it's city something, most likely you will have a sewer with it.
So with the septic, what we have learned is that you do have to have a permit. So you might want to, when you go to put in an offer on a place, you may want to make it contingent upon it passing the soil test, which is what we've decided to do with our property. Because we don't want to purchase property and then find out later that you can't put a septic in, then it's really useless to us.
Yeah. And most likely you'll be able to find water on most properties. You may have to drill a very expensive well, but most likely you'll hit water. However, with septic, it may not be that way. If you're in a low-lying area that the ground doesn't drain very well, there's a good chance you might not actually pass it, or the septic that you have to have is so expensive that you can't afford it.
And so when you're doing that, going around talking to the neighbors, you might want to ask them what kind of well do they have, or are they connected to city water? It could be a drilled well or a bored well. You can also get some information with regards to the septic as well.
Okay, so number 8 is property lines. And you may see a fence post like this. It may be a property line. It may be just a leftover fence post that somebody didn't take. If you find one of these, if you look down to the bottom, usually what has happened is there was a pin that was put in that was small, and then somebody puts in another marker so it's easy to mark it. This one, somebody stuck like a plastic straw inside it to show where the metal one was, and then somebody put this in. We're actually having a little bit of an issue right now with trying to figure out some of the pins on the property that we're looking at. Real estate agent actually let us use his metal detector, which is a very high-powered one, which when you find metal, that thing screams at you. It's really cool. However, you may need to get a surveyor out to find those corner pins, and that's what we're having to do right now.
So to determine those property lines, you can do a couple of different things. Definitely you need to get a copy of the plat so that you can see exactly where those property lines are. But what we've also found is that depending on when that plat was done and when the surveyor did that, if it was a very long time ago, it could be off some. Or something could be off. Maybe not the plat's not off, but what could be off could be the acreage, all of those kinds of things. So you really want to look into that plat. LandGlide is an app that can help you with those property lines as well. It allows you to walk around the property and you can see in real time where you stand. The only thing is you do have to make sure that LandGlide actually matches the plat. That's what we're working on right now, is we're not sure that LandGlide is exactly accurate with the plat. So we're going to have the surveyors come out and get us that information. You sometimes have to spend a little money on the front end, but it could save you a whole lot of money in the long run.
Number 9 is electricity. Obviously, you have to have electricity. You can see there's a power pole behind me with a transformer on it. At the other end where we're at right now, there's some underground transformers. You want to look in to see, okay, can you get property? If you go off a pole, a lot of times they won't charge you for putting in the poles, but you have to pay for the tree in the right-of-way to be cleared if it's a private road. If they put it in underground, they've got a machine that vibrates it down like a plow that does very little damage, and you can't even really tell they've done it, and it puts the cable at 4 feet underground, but it's about $4 a foot right now. Could go up from there. And the cost of putting in electricity or getting it to your home could be a deal breaker. One of the things we did is we actually brought out the electric company to take a look at things and give us an idea of what we're looking at as far as price. And they'll come out for free and talk to you, and they have engineers that will kind of go through that. The other thing you have to check on is you may have to cross somebody else's property. Even if they're burying the line down the edge of the road, if it's a private road and somebody owns to the middle, you'll still need to get their permission to do that.
Number 10 is cell phone and internet service. You may not think about that immediately, but if you are buying property in kind of a remote area, cell phone, first of all, could be an issue. And maybe that's an issue for you. Maybe it's not, but you need to be aware of that and take that into account. The other thing is internet. Many people work from home nowadays and really depend on internet. I know we certainly depend on our internet. So knowing whether or not there was internet and could we get fiber, or what kind of internet, did it need to be satellite, were we going to have to really rely on some other means for internet. So knowing what kind of internet you have access to, and you can sometimes see these little boxes right here, that can give you some indication. You can also ask utility companies, and you can ask a real estate agent. So just make sure that you check on that cell phone and internet. So we've just given you the 10 essential things that you need to find out before purchasing property. But one of the things that we didn't say that is crucial, at least is crucial to us and has been crucial to us, is a great real estate agent.
So we have a great real estate agent who has really put a lot of things in place, connected us with a lot of people to make sure that we can figure out what's going on here.
Our real estate agent has been essential to our success in finding the perfect property. Not only has it been so important in just finding property and getting the information about it, you can call them and they'll give you that information, but also they're if you find a good one, they're super well connected and they know who to get out to the property. They know what things you need to look for. They really have your best interest in mind, and they have lots of connections to get those folks out quickly. We could not have done it without a great real estate agent.
So if you're in Northeast Georgia and you need a real estate agent, I would highly recommend James Allison and his team at Leading Edge Realty. Just fabulous. Every member of the team is an expert in areas, and it is, I cannot say enough and how much James has done to help us out.
Finding the perfect property can be a lot of fun, but it can be really stressful too. So make sure you take time to really enjoy the process and just have fun.
Don't be afraid to address the issues or concerns you have in the contingencies when you make an offer. And also, your real estate agent is there to help you.
Take the due diligence time to really dig in and find out all of these things that we talked about. And also make sure you walk the entire property. Some people will have a lot of property and not actually walk the whole thing and make sure they've seen it. Make sure you do that too. For more videos like this, you can visit our channel and click on any one of our playlists.
If you found value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And also, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to our channel.
Comment below if there are things that we didn't put in this video that you think are essentials that folks need to make sure that they ask or check out before buying property. Also, for links, tips and tricks and things like that, you can visit our website at www.befreebenson.com.
Remember, hanging out with this beautiful woman, trying to find your family compound, hanging out in the woods on a beautiful day, allows you to be free.
See you in the next video. Try again. What is it? Egress and
egress.
It's what?
Ingress.
Okay.
And egress.
So finding the perfect property, your dream property.
Yeah, let's try it again. I'll speak English.